strong, empowered, authentic.
What's up, Ginger Nation? This is Tosh.
This is Darren, and you are listening to the Authentic
Ginger Podcast. Welcome to the show, Ginger Nation. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Darren Roach. Today I am super excited to chat with New York-based actor, model, and filmmaker, Melissa Bronski. So pumped to have you on the show this morning. Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
So interested to get into to your career and what's new there, but also so interested to hear about sort of the beginnings from you as well. New York life, the whole thing. So, but before we do all that and get into that, I have 3 facts that I can sometimes stump Tosh, but we'll see how it goes today. So, I'm going to shoot this first one off right here. The redheads are less likely to go gray.
I did know that.
You did know that?
Yeah.
So anyone who's listening who doesn't know why or how that's possible, Tosh, you're not saying anything. I'm a little worried. But the pigment in red hair typically fades over time from red to blonde and then white, but never gray. So both of you are really in for a treat.
Yeah.
In another 60 years.
I've obviously got some age on Melissa. And if you're watching the video of this, my hair is much lighter, but I used to be as dark as you.
Really?
And I have, if I get closer to my camera, you'd be able to see the grays coming in on me here. So I don't know. I don't know.
That's
there
white,
are some
Tosh.
grays.
That's white. That's not gray. That's white.
Shit. Okay.
No, it's actually really funny that we're talking about this because my entire life has been a segment of older women coming up to me, older blonde women coming up to me, and they're like, I used to have my hair color exactly like yours. And I'd be like, okay, that's when they're like, this is your future. And I was like, okay. Okay, I was like 10. And I was like,
Yeah,
all
right. Thank you for that insight into my future. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm not upset about it, but like,
No.
then you're like not thinking about it.
Everybody wants to be blonde at least once,
Exactly.
right? So
Yeah, me too. Me too. I want to be blonde. I was blonde once. I was very young when I was blonde, and I don't know what happened. Maybe age, because I have some grays in here too. But
were you bleach blonde?
I was.
Did you have some hockey hair going on?
I had
there?
hockey
Is that
hair.
what you did?
Yeah, and I'm a twin, right? So we're polar opposites. So my twin and I, if he walked by behind me right now, you'd be like, "Who the hell is that idiot walking behind the stage?" It's my brother. Oh, he has dark hair. He's slim. He looks absolutely nothing like I do, and yet we're 12 minutes apart. I am older. So there you go.
Well, that's why your hair's lighter. You're older. You just aged first.
That's exactly what it is. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So that's redheads going gray, or sorry, not going gray. How about this one? We've all heard this, and I will like to get both of your takes on this. Redheads are not going extinct.
Absolutely against that. I think if anything, there's more of us now than there's ever been.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because of social media and like we didn't see them through like the 80s and the 90s, but when I had my second daughter, the labor and delivery nurse said like 1 out of every 5 babies in the small city that I'm from is a redhead.
Wow.
So yeah, there's like just a ridiculous amount of us. So we might have to up this 2% of the population number at some point here, but
so true. You know what? I've been trying to find a new percentage, and even up until probably an hour ago, I cannot seem to find a new percent. It's always hovering around that 1.1 and 2%. But here's the thing: I think redheads are secretly infiltrating the world, one gene at a time. Now, even though only 2% they say of people have red hair, 4% have the gene that makes redheads. So if you have freckles, you're probably a carrier. Now that I didn't know, Tosh, I found this out this morning. If you have freckles, you are probably a carrier of the MC1R gene. That's mind-boggling to me.
I think that's true, though, wouldn't you? It's not often that you see people without red hair with freckles.
I don't have freckles. Oh, and I don't have.
You don't have any?
No, but I don't have red hair either. But I do have the gene.
Well, that's true, but yeah.
Melissa, do you have freckles?
I do, yeah. They're
Yeah?
more prominent in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do.
That's the problem with living in the northern climate, right? By January, February, I start to look green.
Yeah.
Like my freckles start to fade and they go, and nobody believes me, but they do. I'm like,
Awesome.
You take a picture of me in the winter and a picture of me in the summer, and I look like 2 different people.
Right.
Like I look sick in the winter.
Malnourished.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So here's one more for you, and we're going to get into to hearing all about you, Melissa. When was the last time you had good luck?
Huh. Good luck. I mean,
So it's been a bit, but that's cool. Tosh, when is the last time you had good luck?
I think probably the last time I won $5 on the lottery.
Okay.
It's the most I've ever won.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you why you had why you won $5 in the lottery. You want to know why?
Because I'm a redhead?
Yeah, but you know why?
Okay.
It's
Why?
said to be true that rubbing a redhead's hair can bring you good luck.
So now we're leprechauns. Okay.
So now you're leprechauns. We're going to talk about that too in March.
funny story about that. When I was in kindergarten, my best friend convinced me that I was a leprechaun. Convinced me I was a leprechaun. And promptly, as soon as she convinced me, ran away screaming that she didn't want to get touched by the leprechaun. It was great. It was a great.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a fun time.
Man.
Yeah.
So is this fact here is telling me something. If I can just go find a random redhead on the street here in Wolfville, Nova Scotia today in the rain, and I'm thinking like, can just a shoe drop out of the sky and give me $100? If I go rub a redhead's head and I say, excuse me, can I rub your head for a second? And they're going to say, what the hell are you doing? I want $100. I need $100. So if I rub your head, I'm going to go do something, and then the $100 is going to come back at me. Is that what they're saying? Is that what I should do? Or is that probably not necessarily a good idea?
I'm not sure, but I wonder if it's like if the redheads have the good luck or if it's just the people that rub their heads.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dang. Why did you do that?
Ruined it.
This is part of your storytelling. You see, now you've looked at that and you looked at my statement and you're like, how am I going to dissect this? And that's exactly what you just did. That's amazing.
So, Melissa, you just told us about your friend when you were little. Why don't you tell us more about you and growing up as a redhead?
Hot take. I hated it when I was little. I hated redhead. Because it was I was in middle school around the time that South Park came out and did that whole like gingers have no souls thing. It's a very hot topic on the middle school lunchroom that Melissa had no soul because she was a redhead. It was a great time.
Were you one of many redheads in your school, or were you like a standout?
I was a standout. It was me. I think I was the only one in my grade, actually. I think there was maybe like one or two girls above me, and then my brother, who was a grade below me. But I think we were it. It was pretty bleak.
Comes back around to that 2% again, I guess, eh? Like,
it's totally regional, right? Like, I mean, I think it depends on like where you are and how many redheads there are. So yeah, I mean, growing up as a redhead, I was a big fan of Anne of Green Gables. But the irony is that's how I make my money now. So
isn't that something?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, funny. It's a funny little twist. I love it now. I would never ever want to dye my hair or be any other color hair.
Have you tried?
No, never.
No.
I've
awesome.
People come up to me on the street telling me never to change my hair. That I was like, you know what? Maybe there's something to that. Maybe I shouldn't. So I didn't. Yeah.
Do you think that being the standout, which I know sucked at the time, but do you think being the standout is why you're an actor now and a model and a writer? And
absolutely. My dad actually once was like, I shouldn't be surprised that that's the career path you went down, because people would come up to us when you were a little girl, like your entire life, and just start talking to you because you had red hair. And he was like, so I kind of, I'm not surprised that you wanted to do something where that was your career, because that's been your whole life.
Were you ever, did you experience any, I guess, making fun of, like, were you any bullying or anything like that? Was that part of school for you as you kind of went through the grades?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, I used to hate being called a ginger, and I still kind of do. I kind of have resentment towards that because kids would say it in a very mean way. And one time I had a boy, it was in middle school, and I had a boy come up to me and he was like, you'd be pretty if you didn't have red hair. And I was like, thank you.
What?
That's the kindest thing I've ever said. Like, thanks, he said I could be pretty.
Wow.
Well, you're showing him now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
That's exactly. So do you take that? Do you remember taking that to a different place? Like, did you kind of, oh man, like, what is up with my red hair? Like, why are people making such statements and this kind of thing? Like, how did you? It sounds to me, and it looks to me like you just push through that and go, you know what, whatever, dude. Like, I'll be me, you be you. Bug off.
Yeah, I mean, I remember distinctly looking at myself in the mirror and like truly self-analyzing and being like, is there truth to this? Like, not that it actually would matter because beauty's arbitrary, right? Like it's not necessary in life. I mean, it's not bad, but it's definitely not something that someone needs to have a successful life. And I was like, okay, this is the life that I want. I love acting. I love the film. Is this going to benefit me, or like what is the truth of it? And I sat and I analyzed myself, and I was like, you know what? No, like I'm confident in myself, and I'm confident in my hair, and they're going to see it someday, and I'm gonna just keep going. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter what they think. And things change, and trends change, and turns out they did. So here we are.
So then when did you make the decision to move into this career? And then like did you start acting as a child or modeling as a child, or was this just something like out of high school or out of college you were like, this is it, I'm ready, now's my time?
I had been wanting to do it since I've been doing it community theater since I was about 6. And I always wanted to do it. Always. I had been making decisions since, I mean, I really took it seriously when I started high school because I don't know, I kind of was in the mindset of like, it's middle school, like it doesn't matter. My childhood, I'll enjoy it. And then in high school, I was like, nope, gonna take it seriously. I'm only gonna listen to this kind of music. I'm only gonna hang out with people that also have this interest. I'm only going, like I absorbed myself into it, and I was determined on moving to New York straight out of high school. And I did go to school. I went to AMDA, the Musical Theater Conservatory on the Upper West Side. And I was determined on going to New York because I felt that although school is important, it was more important to be in the right place. So yeah, I was pretty set on it from a young age, and I really had it planned.
And why New York over California?
I have never been to California. And I'd been to New York, and I was actually set more towards musical theater when I was younger, with a focus on acting, but I really liked the versatility of also having musical theater under my belt. And modeling was actually an accident. I did not intend that at all. Not even a
Wow.
And I think that directing was always, like, directing and writing and getting into that aspect of it was always my end goal. But again, I kind of also thought that was going to be a further end goal. Like, I thought I would be much older when I got into that, but things happen.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Right. Where did you come from? What state?
I'm from a super, super small town called Sandwich, Illinois.
Oh my gosh.
Sandwich,
Illinois, yes.
That's amazing.
Not to be confused with Sandwich, Maine.
Yeah, not to be confused. Sandwich, Illinois.
Wow.
It is like a tiny, tiny town about hour and a half, 2 hours outside of Chicago.
So is it a small town, like, one side, one bread on one side, one bread on the other, and then this little town in between?
Yeah. I mean, there's the joke that the town next to us is Plano, and there's a super small sliver of land called Bologna, so it's Plano bologna sandwich. Bad joke. Bad joke.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's bad.
Yes. Wow.
I love it though.
So New York was a quick minute. Let's get out of here. You must have had a good childhood there, though, did you?
I did. Yeah, I loved it. I didn't love it at the time, but looking back, I really enjoyed and appreciate it.
Yeah. This episode was brought to you by Authentic Ginger Clothing. For more information on Authentic Ginger Clothing, go to www.authenticginger.com. Yeah, you mentioned you wanted to listen to your music and whatever you wanted to listen to. I know Tosh and I are both curious. What was that music style that you were listening to at the time? And I'm going to guess first, if I may, jazz.
A little bit of jazz, but really it was musical theater. Of course. My parents love music, but they knew nothing about musical theater, and that wasn't part of our childhood. And knowing that I wanted to get into this career, I felt really behind. I didn't know all of the
Hmm.
musicals that everyone else knew that was in the industry, and I solely listened to Broadway radio for like 4 years, nothing else. I only
Wow.
and it wasn't not that I don't enjoy it because I do to an extent, but like it was really because I felt like I was falling behind. And if I wanted to be a part of this industry, I needed to know the things that I needed to know. Um, so I just studied it like crazy. Watched everything
Awesome.
on YouTube. I listened to it, everything I could on Broadway Radio, which is a fantastic radio station.
That's such a different way. I'm a radio host. That's my job besides this. And to tell you the honest to goodness truth, that's not something I would have ever thought of doing, is studying, like, say I wanted to be on a classic rock station or whatever. I would, like, that's so smart for you to have done that. Do you feel like doing that gave you more of a step in the right direction once you actually got to New York?
Yeah, I ended up going to school for musical theater at AMDA, and there's a large part of it that is knowing the songs that you want to sing in the future, knowing that music and having a really mature repertoire just starting off the bat, I felt gave me at least a good reputation. And it also it helped me fast track in the program, and it helped me get everything that I could out of it just by having that base knowledge.
Are you still listening to that channel a lot, or have you moved on to other genres?
Been listening to a lot of Taylor Swift lately. I've
There you go.
Me too.
Me too.
big Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah.
I mean, as I've definitely pulled away from musical theater and gone more down the modeling road and now the directing road, I've kind of felt a bit more inclined to listen to the stuff I want to listen to as opposed to thinking I have to listen to. So I've really been exploring music in that respect, which has been really fun.
It must open your world up, right? To, I mean, not that you didn't know there was other music out there, but
Yeah, I mean, when you're only listening to that for 4 years, well, really, it was like 6, 7 years that's all I was doing because I was in school for it, and finally being able to listen to stuff that I'm choosing to listen to as opposed to like feeling I have to for my career. It's nice. It's been good.
So you are the co-owner of Honey and Hemlock Productions.
Yeah.
I want us to dive into that because as I said, I was part of one of your live Instagram events a couple of weeks ago, and again, I was hooked immediately onto what you guys were doing. And all the responses that people had on that particular event, which made me want to watch even more. And unfortunately, I go to bed really early, so I had to shut down a little early. But otherwise, I was really excited for the both of you, your business partner, and I wanted to know a little bit more about that production company and also this new film that you have that you're pre-production. You said.
Well, we are pre-production right now, but we are vastly approaching production.
Awesome.
We start filming on Sunday.
Yes.
So it's moving fast. Yeah, so Shanna's fantastic. Shanna and I have known each other since 2018. She's the first person that ever professionally hired me as an actor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was in her first film that she ever directed. So we've kind of been this tag team since about 2018, where we just kind of never really we never lost contact with each other. We've worked on a few other things together, and after the pandemic and everything that happened, and the modeling industry changing so fast and so much in such a short period of time, I kind of realized that I needed to start going into something that had a little bit more longevity to it and had a little bit more substance and structure as far as like consistency. So I came to her, I very nonchalantly was like, hey, let's grab coffee after like 2 years of not seeing each other. And she's like, okay, what's going on? What do you want? What are we doing? And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, what if we directed things together? And she was like, what if we started a production company? And I was like, that sounds crazy, but okay, here we go. We were hot and ready to go. She had a few scripts on her desk that she had been wanting to do, and one of those was Solidarity, the film that we are currently doing together at this point. At the time, it was a 3-page script, but it was such a great concept and it just had so much potential that we both were like, this is great. This is something that's simple, something that is seems easy enough to do for our first film together, but we just kind of took off with it. It's been something that has been going on since June, and we have written about 7 more pages to it. I think altogether it's going to be about a 10-minute short. It is the first thing that I've ever directed. Her and I have decided to start co-directing because she just loves it so much. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm fine with that. It only makes sense for our first thing to be co-directed. So, and it's been a wild ride. It's been a part of the industry that I knew existed, but didn't know the intimate details of, as I'm wildly discovering very fastly.
What do you find, like, what's the biggest difference from being on the screen and behind the screen?
There are so many different where to start. So when you're an actor in a film, you have the script, you look at the script, you look at your character, you look at other characters, you look at the story, but you really focus into one character. But when you're behind the camera and you're behind the set, you're looking at the thing as a whole. It's like right. You get the entire picture and you get the entire concept, and you zone in on things for certain points, but it's really about the whole thing. And I think that's the biggest difference. It's just the amount of focus it requires to be working on the entire project as a whole. Like that's something that's just been completely mind-blowing. Like there's always something new every day that I'm like, I didn't know that had to be thought of.
So when you're about to you've got the 3-page script, then it moves to a 7-page. You're in a still very late stages of pre-production, almost ready for production. Are you cognizant of who you're casting? In other words, are you casting with any redheads in mind?
I would argue that the writer and the writer and our actor, our friend Josh, does have a touch of red, which nice. I'm not upset about. I'm pretty happy that that's the case. And I don't know, especially with art, there's so much of like a reflection of yourself in it. So I think I always, as a redhead, lean towards things that remind me of myself. So yeah, I definitely am aware of that. I like the idea of having myself reflected in my art.
That's really cool. That's a great answer because we've heard it before from a few other redheads around the world who are in the space of acting, and as they go for roles, there are lots of times when roles are being cast for a redhead that go to a brunette or a blonde, and those roles are obviously have to change your hair color and everything else, and then it seems to be bypassed for the redheads. And so it's nice that you can see yourself and be cognizant of that as you're behind the camera and as you're kind of looking for that reflection, or it just appears in front of you, like, hey, that's me, that's a reflection of me. So how do I make this even more relevant? So it's a really cool thing. Have you experienced any of that before in your career, going for any kind of a role, whether it's modeling or whether it's film, where your hair has been the catalyst of maybe not getting something or maybe getting all of it?
I mean, yeah, especially it's harder to tell in acting because everything is so private. Like the decisions that they make are so private, and like the conversations they have about like why they made the decisions they made are so private. But in modeling specifically, it's very, very obvious. It's like they're either looking for that or they're not. And if they're not looking for that, they won't even call me in the room. It's one of those things where it's just so much on how you look and what your hair color is, how your skin tone is, how even your skin is. I mean, it's the minute details of you where it's like, yeah, it's definitely been a contributor of why I haven't gotten jobs or why I have gotten jobs. It's very much a part of my career.
Yeah. I almost think that it would photograph nicer. Like, I love the look of freckles. I love that on anybody.
I love it too. I wish my freckles were more consistent year round. I wish.
Start your photo shoots, spring? And do them all in the summer.
Yeah.
That's such a statement that no one else would understand but a redhead.
It is. It really is. Yeah. But the other funny thing is, like, for acting jobs specifically, they'll put it in if they want a redhead. Like, when they're looking for a redhead, they'll be like, we are looking for a redhead. Give us a redhead. And you're like, okay. All right.
Yes, it seems really interesting to me, because what about some of the other features of your person that they be looking for? Like, has that ever come across at all? Like, hey, because you have this in some of the pictures that I've seen in your modeling, you have I'm in my mind, I'm picturing, oh, she would be really good. She would be really good for that kind of a role. Does that ever come into play, do you think?
I'm sure it does. I know that when I was directing, when we were in the casting process, which, by the way, I recommend for all actors, be in a casting process once, because it really changes your view on the whole casting process, and it definitely changes your view on how to audition. I definitely had very clear ideas of how I wanted my characters to look and how I wanted them to behave and how I wanted their physicality to be when I went into the process. That being said, I think I actually went with the opposite of how I thought I wanted it when I found the person that I found for one of our roles. So I think that as much as it does matter, because it really does, and there were definitely people that I was like, no, their look can't produce the effect that I'm going for. Mm-hmm. Even though they're fantastic, it just doesn't work for this role. Or, oh, they auditioned for that role, but really their physicality really matches this other role that we have. So I think that knowing yourself and knowing your strengths and knowing what you can do is really important. I mean, it's really important when you're going into the audition, and confidence and really honing in your skill and making sure that they don't have to pay attention to the other stuff as much is also really important.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, that would make your life a lot less stressful if you know what kind of roles to be going for all the time. Right. Do you find a difference between auditioning for stage and auditioning for film? Because I assume it's two completely different types of acting.
Yeah,
right?
Very different. Very, very different. Auditioning for stage. Have you seen? I think there's a TikTok trend about this. Which
probably.
But there's a TikTok trend where it's like one side of the screen is stage, like how you would stage act the lines, and the other side is how you'd film act the lines.
Cool.
And it's totally true. I mean, there's just so much more physicality that goes into stage acting, and that needs to go into stage acting because you have to portray so much to everyone in the room, and the room can go all the way back. Whereas film acting, it's very close, and it's very personal, and it's very intimate, and you can have these intimate moments with a lot of people because it can be distributed later, but you can have these intimate moments, and you can be more... You can be smaller in your actions, and you can allow the minute details of your facial expression to emote what needs to be emoted.
I also wonder, as a redhead, fair-skinned person, if it's easier to get a job in Broadway than it would be on film, like, because you don't have to worry about the pinky undertones of our skin if you're not filming it. And, the color of your hair would pick up better in the lighting. It's just I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like it should be.
It's kind of interesting because I find you really have to know how to do your makeup as a redhead. Like, you really know. You really need to put on your eyebrows, because mine, I don't know about you, but mine are see-through.
Yes.
Mine are I have no facial expression when I'm not wearing makeup because I don't. It's all the same color. All of it's.
Yeah. Do you have blonde eyelashes too?
I have. Yeah, and I recently discovered the whole tinting your eyelashes thing, and I'm like, this is genius. This is
best thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, because my eyelashes and my eyebrows are both blonde, like transparent blonde. So you really need to know how to do your makeup for the stage. But I think other than that, I think that our red hair does give us a benefit because it looks so great under stage lights. It does.
Makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I've always been under the mindset of know everything you can about it and then do anything you want.
I love
Yeah,
that.
know
That's
anything
really cool.
about the industry and you can do anything you want in it.
Back when COVID struck, you were just kind of thinking of things, what you wanted to do and how you wanted to sort of spend your time. And I found some nuggets on YouTube that I wanted you to explain, which is a series you called Snack Pack.
Yeah.
American Trying Snacks.
Yeah.
Tosh, have you seen this? This is
I
very
haven't.
interesting. So I want to know a little bit more about that, Melissa, because I've watched several and they're really quite interesting, really funny.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean when everything closed down, I did a couple things in COVID. First, I did the YouTube stuff, and then I also started making perfumes. That was it. Yeah, very interesting.
Wow.
One end to the other. Yeah.
Opposite ends. But I needed this creative outlet, and I needed something to focus my energy in because I have a lot of energy all the time, and being stuck in your house, as everyone knows now, is exhausting, and especially being stuck in your New York apartment, my New York studio apartment, where I didn't have a backyard and I didn't have anything really. I mean, it was a one room. I needed to be able to go beyond that, and I needed
Right.
to continue to work on my art, and I needed to continue to be in front of a camera and to be performing for someone, even if no one was watching. So I picked up my phone and I picked up my tripod and I really dove into it. It was a really great experience. I
What was your favorite snack?
liked the box from the Philippines.
Okay.
Everything in that box was really nice. I don't, that's a weird way to describe food, but everything was just like really nice. And with other boxes, there was always something that I was like, this is horrible. Like this is a horrible snack. But that box, everything was just so nice. And I was like, this is a lovely time. I'm so happy to be eating this box. It was a great time. I really enjoyed that. I wish I had more time to continue doing that. But it's just so time consuming.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I'm going to go check those out, and we are going to link to them just because now everybody's going to be like, what the hell is Darren talking
That's
about? So we're going to link to them. But we are going to wrap up the show. Before we go, I want to talk about our celebrity news, our redhead celebrity news for the week. First things first, I had to laugh, and it actually ties in with Darren's fact from earlier today. The most recent headline about Julianne Moore says, Julianne Moore steps out looking much younger than her actual age.
Oh my God.
So she's 60, but her hair is still very vibrant red, right? And she's currently filming in New York, and she's walking the streets of New York somewhere. And they say the still Alice actress's bright red hair glowed against the dreary backdrop of New York City streets. And I was like, well, that is amazing, first of all.
Amazing. I hope someone sees me walking down New York and is like, yes, look at that bright, vibrant red glowing against New York.
Right.
Lighting up the city.
Fantastic.
I loved it. I was like, that is the cutest thing ever.
I want
and then
Julianne Moore
there's
to come on here too, by the way. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That would
we're
be
gonna work
amazing.
towards that.
That would be amazing. So Isla Fisher stunned fans when she put up a picture of her and her husband, Sacha Baron Cohen, who she's been married to for over a decade, and people were shocked. They were like, did you forget they were married, or did you confuse her again with Amy Adams? I'm not really
I
sure.
was gonna say, sometimes I forget she exists.
So do we. Exactly.
I mean, I never forget she exists, but
Yeah,
all together.
It's the crossover, and Pam from The Office, whose real name I'm not remembering at this moment, but there was that 3-person unison, right? Okay, and finally, I thought this was adorable because I am obviously an Ed Sheeran fan. Everybody's an Ed Sheeran fan. So he recently did an interview talking about when he proposed to his wife, Cherry. And Cherry, apparently, when she turned around, he was on one knee. She was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Oh,
And he's like, my response was just, please?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine
Oh.
that?
so sweet. Oh,
Yeah, that is sweet. Yeah, I agree with
It's
that.
really,
Yes.
really, really cute. It made me think of when my husband proposed. I don't know, Melissa, if you watch Seinfeld at all, but the Elaine, and I shoved him. I was like, shut up, and shoved him across the room. And then I was like, oh my God, whoops.
I'm sorry.
In other words, yes, please.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. I, going back to TikTok, just saw a TikTok about him where he was doing an interview and he was talking about Galway Girl, his song, and how it's more popular in the UK than it was here. And he was like, yeah, funnily enough, like I had a whole album of songs just like that and I almost released it. And he was like, but the team nixed it. And I was like, oh, darn it. That would have been so cool.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Incredible. I would have loved that.
Wow.
Yeah. Galway Girl is one of my favorite tracks of his. So that's, yeah, to have like the Irish pub style music, that would be amazing. Yeah. Maybe someday he'll do it. He'll do it anyway. Yeah. Screw all his people.
Yeah, what do they know?
Yeah, what do they know? All right, well, so before we let you go, you need to tell all of us and all of our listeners where we can find you and how to keep up with you and the production company and everything that's going on.
Yeah, so the best way to keep up with me is probably via Instagram at the moment. My handle is @Melissa Bronski. Nice and simple, just my name. And to keep up with the production company, you can follow my Instagram, or you can follow the production company's Instagram, which is @honeyandhemlock_productions.
That's great. And the name of the film, again, that's coming up is called Solitarity.
Solitarity, yes.
Solitarity. So keep an eye on that, everyone. And Melissa, it's been awesome to get to know you. I really am thankful that you spent the morning with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
You've been listening to the Authentic Ginger Podcast.
Become a part of the Ginger Nation by liking, subscribing, following, and leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.